Yeah.
but it's pretty common. I come from a deep cycling,
Yeah.
road racing, mountain biking world, and that's seen its problems. But regenerative biotherapeutics may be taking the place of some of that stuff that is
Yeah.
illegal. It's just, you know, right now it's in the healthcare industry, but it might filter into sports as
It's
well.
it
So,
it's interesting you say that because I haven't read it fully, but I was talking on Zach Bitter's podcast. I think it's coming out in the next couple of days here about Kajalcha was talking about taking a fatigue resistant supplement midway through the
mm,
race that was like tart cherry in a pill or tart cherry
mm,
in a gel type thing. And I think you're correct, like in terms of recoverability, regeneration, like oxidative stress, like all the things that can be lowered through pharmaceuticals right now. I think there's a pathway for that. My hope is it isn't like the cycling group out of the UK that was all about marginal gains, 1%, where it's like, hey, look what we're
yeah,
doing over here. Disregard the EPO we're doing over
yeah,
here,
yeah,
kind of
right,
thing. You know what I
right,
mean?
right. Yep.
And and I think it's tough. And I did a video about this week, and I got a bunch of pushback. It was one of two ways: either they're absolutely doped, or like, there's no way, they're so humble they're doped. There was no like middle ground. And I think
Mm,
if you've been around sport long enough and you've seen like high level people, there's two things you recognize. One, there is an insane amount of doping, and it's relatively easy, unfortunately, to get away with doping at a high
yes, it
level.
is. Yep.
And two, there's, I guess I go 3 points. Two, a lot of athletes are not the same person that you see when they're talking on camera and outward facing as they are behind the scenes. You see this in Hollywood. You see this with coworkers, all the stuff, right?
Yeah.
And the third piece is, if you've been around long enough, you've kind of seen this playbook. I think it was Sky was the cycling team in the UK that
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
referencing. And then you see like Lance Armstrong, I'm the most tested athlete in the world and I've never tested positive. It's like,
Sure.
well,
Right.
you can say that confidently if you know that what you're taking or how much you're taking is undetectable, right?
That's
And
exactly right.
for
There's
people who remember,
designer.
exactly, like people remember Lance, like he only eventually got caught retroactively. Like people were saying openly, like Betsy Andreu, there was plenty of people who were saying
Yeah.
he's doped, he's doped, he's doped, but they couldn't prove it until they found a retroactive test. And I believe it was, you might know better than me, but they were able to detect biomarkers of the bags that hold blood in his blood to tell that he had like blood bags, that he was blood doping. And so, you look at that, and I juxtapose that with the Sebastian case of Adidas paying 50,000 for additional tests, right?
Hmm.
And I go, one, Nike was on board with what Lance was doing, and they were going on, I'm clean, I'm all this
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Right.
And so it's like, if anybody thinks $50,000 to Adidas is a lot of money, like they just made that in 3 hours, in like 3 minutes rather, after the race
Right.
with people buying the shoes, right? So then it asks two questions, or three questions, I suppose. One, is it a marketing playbook that's being done by other
Hmm.
companies that Adidas is now doing on the heels of their new shoes? Two, maybe they don't know, but Sebastian's crew around them knows that whatever he's doing, they're not going to test positive for because there's not a test for it yet. Um, and then three, I would say, why aren't the tests out there? And 3B to that would be, what's lost in the promotion of all this is the 50,000 for tests was done before him going into Berlin, not before him going into London.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Right.
right.
And so like I want to believe that it happened. And I think shoe tech has gone a long way, high carb's gone a long way, weather was
Yep.
like as best it could be. And I think that's probably a lot of it. But if you've watched the sport long enough and you've seen Lance and you've seen the East Germans and you've seen what happened in Russia going into the games, or what's going on out of
That's right.
the African nations right now, you have to have that kind of caveat there, which is really unfortunate. But yeah, I don't know what to think on that one.
Well, with multiple athletes breaking the world record at the same time, it wasn't just one. We'd
Yeah.
certainly celebrate one and probably question it more. With multiple athletes, so is everybody, in the
Yeah.
cycling world, at one point everybody was, and they said to be competitive, you have to be, driven, pharmaceutically, to be on equal footing with the rest of
Yeah.
the field. Now, I don't think that's as much of the case. The speed of the cyclists, the speed of the runners, across all sports is increasing.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. It's the carbohydrate loading. Something else that I learned, from
Yeah.
you was, consuming enough carbohydrates so you can, oxidize as appropriate for your body instead of trying to break fat down, which takes more energy and whatnot. That's a game changer, total.
Yeah.
But what should that look like in terms of real times?
Yeah.
You know, this
Yeah.
wasn't just a few seconds record breaking.
Yeah.
This is a huge record
Huge.
breaking
Yeah.
moment. I mean, huge, just smashed it. That's the other piece of it too. That's hard to understand. Um, I'm gonna pull this back to Masters because it's so nice that we don't really have a world record to have to worry
Yeah.
about.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
So it makes it easy. You don't have to be in that concern realm at all. But as a Masters, I certainly applaud everybody who stays really clean
Yeah.
and
And it's